Okay, 3.4. This is the last section, chapter 3. We are using the quadratic formula. Using the quadratic formula. We're going to skip down to using the quadratic formula right here. Okay. First thing to do is you have to know the quadratic formula. Okay. I was taught the quadratic formula, I believe, in 8th grade, and I still know the sum. Okay, or I still know the formula. It goes like this: x equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a. That is the quadratic formula. It's a big formula, but it always works. The way to remember the quadratic formula is to put it to a sum. And we always went to pop goes the weasel. And it went like this: x equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. That's quadratic formula. Okay, so I'm going to play that song for you in class. I'm going to play it. I'm going to post it on Schoology. Mr. Beek, our teacher at school here, he made a sweet rendition to the quadratic formula song. So I will post that on Schoology. You guys can listen to it. Get this in your head. Quadratic formula always works. So down here in the second exploration, we want to solve using the quadratic formula. So we want to solve for x. Okay. So each of these is assigned a letter, A, B, and C, where A is equal to 1, B is equal to negative 4, and C is equal to 3. We're just going to plug that in. X equals negative B. Well, if B is negative 4, it's like a negative 4 or a positive 4, plus or minus the square root of b squared. B is negative 4, so negative 4 squared. Oh, it's not plus. Minus 4 times a, which is 1, times c, which is 3. And this is all over 2a. This takes some time. It'll get quicker the more you use it. But now we just solve, or simplify. X equals 4 plus or minus the square root. Do we know what negative 4 squared is? Yep, it's 16. Minus 4 times 1 times 3, that's just 12. All over 2. Next step, solve inside that square root. So 4 plus or minus the square root of 4 over 2. So x equals 4 plus or minus 2 over 2. And here's where we have to solve. First one, I'm going to go off to the side here. We can say x equals 4 plus 2 divided by 2. And over here, x equals 4 minus 2 over 2. This one here, that equals 6 over 2, which is 3. And this one equals 4 minus 2, which is 2, divided by 2, which is 1. Three and 1. And this next one. I'm going to go a little bit quicker. Okay, I can still write A equals 1, B equals negative 2, and C equals 2. But it is x equals negative b, so that's going to be positive 2, plus or minus the square root of b squared. What's negative 2 squared? That's 4, minus 4 times 1 times 2, all over 2 times 1, which is just 2. I kind of do these in 3 different steps. X equals 2 plus or minus the square root of 4 minus 8 over 2. Okay, keep simplifying. X equals 2 plus or minus the square root of negative 4 over 2. Okay, and can we simplify the square root of negative 4? We sure can. What is that? That's just 2i. So x equals 2 plus or minus 2i over 2. And now I can simplify these 2's. Right? 2 divided by 2 is just 1. So x equals 1 plus or minus I. That's my final answer. And we can do the same thing every single time. Quadratic formula. Let's see if you remember. X equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Very good. The discriminant. The discriminant is just what's under the square root. B squared minus 4ac. This discriminant helps find how many solutions. So we can say helps find how many solutions. So, down here, here's our discriminant. If we get b squared minus 4ac and that's greater than 0, whatever you get here, that's greater than 0, then we have 2 real solutions. Right there and right there, right? It crosses the x-axis twice. If we get b squared minus 4ac equal to 0, then we only have 1 solution. And if we get b squared minus 4ac is less than 0, we have imaginary solutions. So no real solutions, just imaginary solutions. Let's scroll down here. Let's solve for one of these. Not number 1, that one seems a little easy. Let's go to number 2. First things first, we want this in bx plus c. We want it in this form. Right now, we don't have it in this form. So we're going to subtract this w squared. Actually, no, we're not. We're going to subtract everything else. I like when w squared is positive. We're going to subtract 4w but add 1 to both sides. So we're going to get w squared minus 4w plus 1 equals 0. Okay, so I'm just going to write that right there. Next, let's do it. X equals negative b. Well, b is negative 4. We're going to solve for w, not x. Same thing. So it's going to be positive 4 plus or minus the square root of b squared, which is 16, minus 4 times 1 times 1, which is just 4, all over 2 times 1. Okay. Next step, simplifying the square root. So w equals 4 plus or minus the square root of 12, all over 2. And can we simplify the square root of 12? Yeah, what perfect square goes in there? The square root of 4 times the square root of 3, which is equal to 2 square root of 3. So w equals 4 plus or minus 2 square root of 3 over 2. Now, can I simplify any fractions? Yes, I can. W equals 2 plus or minus square root 3. And I simplified this fraction, 4 over 2, and 2 over 2. To get 2 plus or minus square root 3. Down here, find the discriminant of the quadratic equation to describe the numbers listed. Well, excuse me. Remember the discriminant is just that b squared minus 4ac. And let's do it to number 6. Let's do number 6. Remember, same thing. I wanted ax squared plus bx plus c. Going in this form. So I have to subtract that 3q. We're going to get 4q squared minus 3q plus 1 is equal to 0. And now I'm just doing b squared. What's b? It's 3. Negative 3. What's negative 3 squared? 9 minus 4 times 4 times 1. So it's 9 minus 16. 9 minus 16 is negative 7. So that's my discriminant. How many solutions does that have? Look on your notes. Or scroll back. Go back to the discriminant. If negative or if b squared minus 4ac is less than 0, we're going to get 2 imaginary solutions. And you can see that up here. Less than 0, 2 imaginary solutions. Let's see what else we have. That'll be all.